Hello and welcome to this week's edition of VR Vertigo. So, the VR Games Showcase happened last night and, well, the less said about that, the better. More cartoony games heaped on top of more cartoony games for really pricey headsets, and one has to wonder why VR isn't doing so well. There is a disparity between the content of the headsets and the users. And I think this is where Valve's Steam Frame will get things right. However, more on that later. So the VR Games Showcase, for all the good that it's doing for VR, is still illustrating that we have problems. VR headsets are generally quite a pricey thing, and yet what do we see? We see games like this, which I have to say in this particular instance looks really addictive and quite funny. I believe the game is called Salmon Man, yes, and, well, it looks as though it was almost developed to stream. And here we have a game called, is it Mr. Fixer or Fix It? I'm just not particularly interested. It looks okay. But it almost appears as though VR developers are looking for shortcuts in order to develop VR games, in order to get noticed. And whereas I don't want to denigrate anybody's efforts, no, it's hard work, I get it. We still need more games coming through that will tell a potential VR audience this is how serious we are. That AAA games a little ways down the road will have to watch their backs. No, the good news in this particular VR showcase was in fact twofold. Firstly, we had Flat to VR's effort with Flat Out Racing. It looks like a right laugh. It looks like you'll have a lot of fun playing it. It looks great. And I can't remember right now if it's got support for steering wheels. One would hope so. The other bit of good news was Payday, Aces High, where you team up, you pop on your very funky mask, and you rob banks. And finally, while we leave the VR showcase playing in the background for ambiance, let's talk about the Steam machine. The prices came out and, well, as I said in my other channel, they were eye-wateringly bad. A series of circumstances has conspired against the console computer thing. And what we're left with is a halfway house of too expensive against too little performance. Valve set their stall out rather quickly and said that they weren't going to sell the console computer thingy at a loss. That they were going to just release it retail at the price that they had to release it. And the rest of us would have to just suck it up. And that is effectively what we're going to have to do if we want a Steam machine. But in related news, I was watching a channel by a chap called Blunty, a real greybeard. And he came across some information that gave him the distinct impression that the Steam Frame headset was imminent. He noticed that some information had been released online about the Wi-Fi adapter dongle, that the drivers for the said dongle had been released and were available to those interested parties, effectively turning inert accessories into live accessories. And going live only happens when it's ready for public consumption. There were other clues that led him to believe that the Steam Frame was coming very, very soon, in about a week's time, but I suggest you pop over to Blunty's channel. He seems like an incredibly nice chap and appears to have his finger on the pulse. Now, with speculation on the Steam machine being effectively null and void, we can turn our attention to the rather worrying prospect of the price of the Steam Frame. The console is expensive, and as I said, Valve have released a statement saying they're going to just make people pay what the thing is worth. They need to get their money back on it. The RAM apocalypse has caused havoc. And as I also said on my other video on my other channel, we the gamer will keep paying. I'd speculated previously that the headset would be, oh God, somewhere in the region of £1,000. And after the price of the Steam machine has been released, I wouldn't be at all surprised if it came in at £1,200. I also speculated on my previous channel months and months ago that the entire suite of kit would cost anywhere between £2,000 and £2,500. And god damn it, I'm probably gonna be right. And that sucks. Because the Steam machine's price to performance equation doesn't add up. It will not square. And I'm left stood here in front of this camera thinking, well, maybe the headset can improve the performance of the Steam machine? Because if the lacklustre specs translate over to the headset, Valve will have quite simply lost, and all the promise that was shown by the Steam machine and the Steam frame to help solidify VR as a gaming medium has just been put back. VR needed the Steam machine. VR needed the Steam frame. And the only value proposition that this suite of kit has is the Steam back catalogue. Those hundreds and hundreds of games that you can either play through the headset flat or in VR. Will that be enough to sell consoles? Will that be enough to sell headsets? But more importantly, will that be enough for you? Do let me know what you think in the comments below. Do like, subscribe and share. It really would help the channel. And until next time, bye-bye.